taunting a survivor of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas school shooting under pressure from a mounting boycott by advertisers. Uproar arose when Ingraham mocked 17-year-old student activist David Hogg's recent college rejection and his 4.1 GPA on Twitter Wednesday. In response, Hogg encouraged his followers to call Ingraham's top advertisers to drop the show. By Thursday, 9 companies had confirmed they were pulling their ad dollars, prompting the Fox News host to apologize, tweeting, "In the spirit of Holy Week, I apologize for any upset or hurt my tweet caused him or any of the brave victims of Parkland. As always, he's welcome to return to the show anytime for a productive discussion." Hogg was unimpressed by the apology, telling the New York Times, "She only apologized after we went after her advertisers." It kind of speaks for itself. Joe?
Yeah, Donnie Deutsch. Well, first of all, let's just talk about his GPA at 4.1, 4.2. I think it's safe to say that if you added your GPA in high school, my GPA in high school, and Mika's GPA in high school, we still, all three of us together, would not get up to a 4.1 or 4.2. So I'm not sure who mocks any student for being that good of a student. But that said, I mean, I just generally, and I'm just talking generally here, I haven't understood for some time politically why anybody would attack young students, high school children. I call them children because I've got, you know,
babies.
I've got kids that are older than they are. Who thinks that attacking children, who thinks that spreading false information about children, which has not only been spread on conspiracy sites, but also on mainstream media sites, who thinks that's going to help them get ahead politically when it's so obvious it's only going to blow up in their faces?
Joe, let's add on attacking children who are 2 weeks out from hiding under their desk or watching their friends be shot by an automatic weapon. So if you can't basically have empathy or sympathetic behavior or basic parental human behavior towards children in general, particularly children that are coming off a horrific trauma. You know, Laura Ingraham told LeBron James to shut up and dribble, and Laura Ingraham needs to just shut up and dribble also. She's a reprehensible human being. And the good news here is the advertisers will speak and they will continue. You might see Laura Ingraham saying bye-bye, because here's what's going to happen. Today, I'm going to take you behind the scenes of every CEO right now that advertises on Laura Ingram's show. They have in front of them already letters saying, "Dear Mr. CEO of Pepsi," I'll make an example, I'm not saying Pepsi's on there, "Are you choosing to stand by Laura Ingraham?" So it's no longer you're not part of the debate. If you are basically continuing to endorse her, you are endorsing her behavior. You're saying this is okay. This is okay to dump on millennials. This is okay to insult children who have been through a tragedy. And any CEO at this point, I don't care where you are politically, is going to call up their chief marketing officer and say, "You know that $400,000 you spent on Ingram, even if you don't take it off of Fox, move it off." Because no advertiser is going to be in the position to say, "I am defending that." Because it's no longer just, "Well, I'm not involved." I'm defending that behavior. So the same way Bill O'Reilly was gone.
But Donnie, let me ask you this question, though, because it seems to me we all make mistakes. I can't imagine ever attacking a young child after they went through this hell, but we've all made mistakes. And isn't the first thing we ask of people when they make a mistake is to say, "I'm sorry," to apologize? She apologized, and it wasn't one of these halfway apologies. It was in the spirit of Holy Week. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I hurt people who were..."
I think it's the timing.
Joe, but here's the difference, Joe. There's a difference. We all are going to make mistakes. When it's a serial behavior, and the apology was only for one reason, because she was losing advertisers. It didn't happen because of that. And her behavior stands for itself. And, you know, we can all argue about politics, but there's just human decency. We can't have animals on the air attacking children. These are just core values. We can disagree on taxes. We can disagree on Donald Trump. We can disagree on a wall. But basic human decency, I mean, enough already.
John Heilman, it seems that there's been a problem at Fox over the past 6 months or so regarding, like, for instance, the Seth Rich murder. Sean Hannity went on and on with it when he knew that it was false. He had people come on the show and promote it after he'd already been told it was a lie, bringing just immeasurable pain to that family. And it's certainly something that I know about because people have used the pain of a family, the unspeakable pain of a family, to try to attack me when they're not hurting me, they're hurting a family. And so you now have lawsuits being filed against Sean Hannity and Fox News. And I'm just wondering whether actually the president always talks about wanting to make it easier to sue people. I wonder if maybe this becomes a solution, that when people step over the line, that actually it's tried in the court of law.
Well, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the notion. I like our libel laws. I think it's good for the country and good for the press that it's hard to sue media organizations for libel, and you have to prove actual malice and so on. And if you can make that case, you should go and make it. I will say that I think what's interesting about the Fox News piece of this, Joe, is that they used to have, I think, a pretty good idea of who their audience was and where the lines were, what kinds of provocations worked with their base and what they could engage in that wouldn't go over the line and draw them into a place where they were going to incur economic penalties and incur other kinds of political penalties. They on both the Seth Rich thing you're talking about, and in this case, it's like they overshot the landing. They seem to now not get that what they can get away with in the context and that bubble they live in, and where they put a foot wrong, where they can really get crosswise with mainstream opinion in a way that costs them, much more powerful than any kind of legal judgment that can be brought against them, is the kind of thing Donnie's talking about. That's what hurts a Bill O'Reilly. That's what hurts a Laura Ingraham, is when the sponsors decide these guys are beyond the pale. And increasingly, they used to kind of know exactly where that line was. Now they increasingly find themselves on the wrong side of it. And I can't help but think that part of the answer to this and part of the explanation for it is Trump. Because they have, it's one thing to be a propaganda wing of the Republican Party. It's another thing to become a propaganda wing of the Trumpified Republican Party, where conspiracy theory and fabrication and fake news and things that are beyond the pale are so much part of what Donald Trump's Republican Party thrives on. That now is what Fox News, as being part of that ecosystem, has been dragged into. And it's starting to realize, I think, when it loses advertisers, that there are really some risks here to the basic business model if they keep going in this direction.
Well, certainly there's some issues with Hannity and Ingraham, obviously, and we'll see how it plays out. Again,
I think there's personal relationships with the president that they're navigating.
She did apologize. We'll see how that plays out. You obviously have other people in Fox News, though. This is a primetime issue, and I've always said it when people have talked about MSNBC. I've always said, you know what? There's Dayside, there's our show. It's sort of like, the front of the paper, and then you've got primetime, and those are the opinion pages. And that's something that Shep Smith has pointed out accurately over at Fox News. Obviously, Brett Baer does a great job. A lot of other people there. Chris Wallace, of course, does it straight up. But there is no doubt, Mika, that there are some challenges in prime time right now as it pertains to going up to the line and sometimes stepping over the line. That, of course, Roger Ailes with Glenn Beck knew when it was time to pull Glenn Beck back, and also knew when it was time to send Glenn Beck packing. And that seems to be one of the questions that I'm sure Fox is grappling with right now.
Coming up, President Trump was no fan of Jeff Sessions' decision to recuse himself from the Russia probe. Now the Attorney General just made another move that may set off his boss. That's ahead on Morning Joe. And we want to mention our compelling interview with Pulitzer Prize-winning author Lawrence Wright. He produced a new drama, The Looming Tower, based on his best-selling book. It's a 10-part miniseries now available on Hulu and ties directly with the larger conversation about the state of U.S. intelligence and the U.S. intelligence community. You can find our full interview with Lawrence Wright right now on joe.msnbc.com.